Far away from Earth, beyond the stars that humans had just started to explore, there was a planet called Nark. This planet was home to a tall, powerful alien species called the Goralians. They had strong scales, 4 arms, glowing eyes, and followed strict laws about strength, size, and reproduction. In their culture, every female had only one purpose: to produce eggs and grow the next generation. Among them lived a Goralian female named Vashira. She was larger than most others, with long limbs and thick blue-green skin. As she grew older, her size became too great. Her body stopped making eggs. In the eyes of the Council of Elders, this meant she had no more value. No eggs, no future. No future, no place in their society. You are to be exiled, the High Elder said, his voice cold like ice. You consume too much and give nothing. You will leave Nark by sunset. Vashira bowed her head. She didn't cry. Her kind were taught not to show weakness, but inside something broke. She had always dreamed of raising a child like the other females in her family. But now, her own people pushed her away like trash. Her body was placed into a cold pod. The pod had no direction, no engine, only a basic life support system. It was not made for survival, it was made for drifting. Once launched into space, it would float forever. Or until it ran out of energy. The pod door closed. Darkness surrounded her. Her last memory of Nark was the red sky fading into black. Many years passed. In a different part of the galaxy, a small spaceship moved silently. Its name was Horizon Seeker. It was an old human exploration vessel, now used by a single man named Thomas Reyes. Thomas was an engineer, a fixer, and someone who liked being alone. He had brown hair, a tired face, and a calm voice. After the Earth Union stopped funding his team, Thomas decided to keep exploring space by himself. He worked on small research missions, fixing satellites, studying gas clouds, and collecting strange objects. One day, while scanning an asteroid field near a red dwarf star, Thomas found something odd. A small signal, weak, almost dead. It was coming from a pod. This isn't human, he said, narrowing his eyes. But it's still alive. Thomas activated a tractor beam and pulled the pod into his ship's cargo bay. Once inside, he removed the outer shell. A glass cover revealed what was inside: a massive, motionless alien female curled up in hibernation. Her body looked bruised, old, and starved. Thomas stepped back. What the? He quickly scanned her vitals. Alive, barely. With careful hands, Thomas carried her body into his medical bay. He placed her under warm lights and connected soft tubes to feed her fluids. He didn't know who she was or where she came from, but she was a living being, and that was enough for him to help. Hours later, Vashira opened her eyes. She saw lights, wires, metal walls, and a strange creature standing nearby. It had soft skin, small eyes, and only 2 arms. A human. Vashira moved suddenly, growling. Her body was weak, but her instinct told her to protect herself. Easy, Thomas said, raising his hands. You're safe. Vashira's voice came out rough and deep. Where am I? You're on my ship. I found your pod floating in space, Thomas replied. You were dying. I helped you. Vashira looked around. The walls were unfamiliar. The air felt different. And yet, she was breathing. Why help me? She asked. Thomas shrugged. You were alone. You needed help. That's enough, isn't it? She stared at him. On Nark, such kindness didn't exist. No one helped without gain. I am Vashira from Nark. Thomas smiled. Nice to meet you, Vashira. I'm Thomas, from Earth. She repeated the name slowly. Earth. Over. The next few days, Vashira stayed on a medical bed, resting. Thomas brought her food, water, and even music. At first, she didn't trust him, but slowly she began to speak more. She told him about Nark, the council, and her exile. Thomas listened carefully. So they threw you away? Because you couldn't have children? Yes, she answered. Too big. Body stopped. I am useless. Thomas shook his head. You're not useless. You're alive. That's already important. She didn't answer. No one had ever told her that before. As the ship traveled through quiet space, Thomas showed her how human machines worked. Vashira, in return, explained Goralian tools and energy crystals. Slowly, a strange friendship formed between them. Two lonely beings from different worlds. One evening, while looking out into the stars, Vashira spoke. "Do humans throw away the ones who cannot give birth?" Thomas blinked. "No, that would be horrible. People are more than that." She looked down. "I wanted a child. Not for duty, for love, for something to hold." Thomas was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Maybe that dream isn't gone yet." Vashira turned toward him. "What do you mean?" "I've seen many alien species. Studied them too. Maybe there's a way to help. Maybe your body isn't broken, just turned off, suppressed." She looked at him with wide eyes. "You would try?" "Of course," Thomas said, smiling softly. "That's what humans do. We try. Even when others give up." In the silence of space, something new had begun. Not war, not conquest. Not fear. But hope. Hope that even in the darkness, two souls from distant worlds could find meaning. And maybe, just maybe, a second chance at life. The spaceship Horizon Seeker moved slowly through a quiet part of the galaxy. Inside, Thomas Reyes and the alien female Vashira sat together, sharing a simple meal. She had grown stronger in the last few days. Her skin glowed a little more. Her eyes looked less tired. Still, her heart was heavy. She often stared into space from the observation window. Her mind returned again and again to Nark, her home planet that no longer welcomed her. Thomas had noticed. "You don't talk much today," he said gently. Vashira kept her eyes on the stars. "I am thinking." "About what?" "About what I lost, and what I am now." Thomas leaned back in his seat. "Well, if you're thinking about what you are now, you're not lost. You're still here." She gave a small nod. Then she looked at him. "You are a strange creature, Thomas Reyes," he chuckled. "Thanks, I try." Later, Thomas received a message from Earth. The science division of the Lunar Bioresearch Station had asked for help repairing a power core. It was not far, and Thomas had worked with them before. He sent a message back, "On my way." When Vashira heard the plan, she hesitated. "Earth, will they accept me?" Thomas looked her straight in the eyes. "They'll accept you because—" "I do, I'll make sure of it." She didn't fully believe it, but she trusted him enough to go. The journey to the moon took 3 days. When they landed at the Lunar Bioresearch Station, the human scientists were surprised. Not just because Thomas had returned, but because of who stood behind him. Vashira had to bend to walk through the doors. Her head nearly touched the ceiling. Her scales shimmered in the white lights. Some people took a step back, but no one screamed. No one attacked. Thomas introduced her calmly. "This is Vashira. She's a guest. Treat her with respect." One of the doctors, a kind woman named Dr. Layla Morgan, stepped forward. "Hello, Vashira. You're welcome here." Vashira blinked. Thank you." In the days that followed, Thomas worked on fixing the power core, and Vashira was allowed to stay in the research center. Dr. Morgan, who studied alien biology, asked if she could run gentle scans, not to harm, just to learn. Vashira agreed. The scans showed something surprising. Her reproductive organs are not damaged, Dr. Morgan told Thomas one evening. They're just inactive. Shut down like a sleeping system, Thomas nodded. "So, it's true. Her species did this to her on purpose." "Yes," Dr. Morgan said. "I think it was a chemical block. Something like a hormonal switch. Maybe because she grew too large, their culture marked her as unfit." Thomas's hands tightened. "That's not fair." "No," Dr. Morgan agreed. "But maybe we can fix it." Vashira sat in a warm, quiet room while Thomas explained the plan. "We're going to try to wake your body up," he said. "No pain, no surgery. Just a signal, a special kind of pulse that talks to your cells." Vashira looked at him, eyes unsure. "You believe I can be a mother?" "I believe your people were wrong," he replied. She looked away. "If I fail, I do not want to bring shame to your kind." Thomas stepped forward. "There is no shame, not in trying." For the first time, Vashira's eyes grew wet. One tear slid down her cheek. The next day, the team prepared a quiet room. Machines hummed softly. Lights blinked. Dr. Morgan and two technicians stood ready. Vashira lay calmly on the bed with Thomas beside her. The pulse began. Tiny electric signals moved into her body. They were soft, like whispers to sleeping cells. At first nothing, but after several minutes, one machine beeped. Look. Dr. Morgan pointed to a screen. Activity in her reproductive system? It's responding. Thomas looked at Vashira and she nodded. I feel heat movement inside. It's working, Dr. Morgan whispered. The process continued for several days. Each time, her body responded a little more. Her skin became brighter. Her voice became stronger. Then, on the seventh day, Dr. Morgan ran a new scan. She gasped. Thomas, come here. Look at this. Thomas walked over. The screen showed a glowing shape. A single fertile cell, the doctor said. An egg. A royal. One. Vashira sat up slowly. Royal. Dr. Morgan nodded. Your body produced it by choice. Not because it had to, but because it wanted to. Vashira touched her chest. Her heart beat fast. This egg is mine? Yes, the doctor said. And you made it not because of a command, but because of your will. Thomas smiled. Congratulations, Vashira. She couldn't speak. Her voice broke. She looked at the screen, hands shaking. For the first time in her life, she was not just a body, not just a tool. She was a mother. That night, Vashira walked with Thomas on the surface dome of the station. Earth floated in the sky like a bright blue jewel. I never thought this would happen, she said softly. Thomas looked at her. You earned it. I thought I was too big, too strange, too late. Thomas shook his head. You were just waiting for the right place. And maybe the right person. She stopped walking and turned to him. You did not have to help me. But you did, he smiled. Well, I don't like seeing good people suffer. Vashira looked down. Then she said something quietly. If I had come to your world first, I think I would have lived a better life. Thomas didn't know what to say, but he gently placed a hand on her giant arm. You still have life. Left, a new one, maybe. The egg was placed in a special chamber, designed to hold its rare energy. It glowed like a small sun. Vashira visited every day. She hummed songs from her home world, songs no one had heard in years. Scientists on Earth and the moon began to take interest. They sent messages asking to learn more, not to judge, but to understand. For once, Vashira felt seen not as a failure, but as a miracle. But peace never lasts forever. One night, the communications room picked up a signal. It was in an old Goralian code. Dr. Morgan looked worried. It's from Narc. Thomas opened the message. It was simple, but cold. The exiled one is not allowed to breed. Return her to face judgment, or we come for her. Vashira read the message. Her body stiffened. They know, she whispered. Thomas stood firm. They don't decide your fate anymore. They will come, she said. They will take the egg. Thomas shook his head. No, I won't let them. In that moment, both of them knew something bigger was coming. The fight for Vashira's future had just begun. But now, she wasn't alone. The moon base grew quiet after the message from Narc arrived. The peaceful days were gone. Now, fear filled the air. Scientists whispered. Guards checked security doors. Even the hum of the machines sounded heavier. Vashira sat beside the glowing egg chamber, silent. Her body was strong again, her eyes bright, her breath steady. But inside, her heart felt cold. Thomas entered the chamber room. He had just come from a meeting with the station leaders. They're worried, he said. They think the Goralians might attack. Vashira nodded slowly. They will. If they believe I broke the law of exile, they will come. Thomas sat beside her. Then we'll protect you, and the egg. She looked at him. I do not want war. I know, he said. But I also know you didn't ask for this. They're the ones threatening peace, not you. Vashira turned her head toward the egg, still glowing in its chamber. It is one egg, one tiny life. But to me, it is everything. Thomas placed his hand on her arm. Then we fight for it. A meeting was called at the command room of the Lunar Bio Research Station. Humans from Earth, the Moon, and Mars tuned in by video call. Thomas stood in the center with Dr. Morgan and Vashira beside him. Thomas explained what had happened. The exile, the recovery, the awakening of her body, and the creation of the egg. "She's done nothing wrong," Thomas said. "She didn't steal or destroy, she only lived, and she created life, not death." One officer from Mars asked, "Why is this egg so important to them?" Vashira answered in her deep voice, "Because it is royal, my blood is strong, ancient. They fear it. My child could change the balance of power on Nark." Dr. Morgan nodded. "Her species controls bloodlines with rules and science. This egg breaks their system. They want to erase it." Silence filled the room. Then an Earth official said, "If they come, we will not hand her over. Earth stands for life." Thomas smiled. "Thank you." Over the next few days, the moon station prepared. Defense systems were checked. Emergency shelters were prepared. But most of all, they focused on one thing: protecting the egg. Vashira watched the humans work. They were smaller, softer, slower than Goralians, yet they moved with care and determination. She had never seen a people so willing to fight not for power, but for someone they barely knew. She turned to Thomas one evening. "Why do you do this? For me?" Thomas was cleaning tools but stopped, "Because I believe in second chances. You think I deserve one? I know you do." Then one morning, the warning alarm screamed. A ship had entered Earth's solar system. It was Goralian large, black, and covered with war symbols. It was not a scout. It was a warship. The captain of the ship sent a message: "You hold what is not yours. Give us the female and the egg, or we will take them." Thomas looked at Vashira. "They mean it." Vashira stood tall. "Then I will not run. I will face them." "No," Thomas said. "Not alone? Never again?" The next few hours moved fast. The human leaders offered one chance for peace, a meeting on neutral ground on the moon, inside the station, with no weapons. To their surprise, the Goralians agreed. Later that night, the main chamber doors opened. 2 tall Goralian males stepped in. Their armor was dark, their eyes glowing. Between them walked a female dressed in gold. She was an elder of the council. Vashira stood to meet them. Thomas stayed by her side. The elder spoke first. "Vashira of Nark, you broke our law. You have created Forbidden's life. You must return." Vashira answered calmly, "You threw me away, left me to die." "You were unfit," the elder said coldly. "Too large. You failed the cycle. I survived, I healed, and now I carry the future." The elder looked at Thomas. "This human, he touched your mind. Filled you with weakness." Thomas stepped forward. "No, I helped her find her strength. You only see failure. We see hope." The elder's voice grew harsh. "We will take the egg. With or without your help." Thomas spoke firmly. "Try it. You'll see how strong humans can be." After the meeting, tension filled the air. The Goralians returned to their ship, but they did not leave. Their warship stayed near the moon. Inside the station, the team made a hard decision. "The egg must be moved," Dr. Morgan said. "It's too dangerous here." Thomas nodded. "We'll take it to Earth, deep underground. They'll never find it." Vashira placed a hand on the glass chamber. "I will go with it. I will not leave my child." "Neither will I," Thomas said. The next day, the transfer began. They placed the egg chamber inside a secure shuttle. It was small, fast, and shielded. Thomas piloted it. Vashira sat beside him. Behind them were 2 guards and a doctor. The shuttle launched quietly, avoiding the Goralian ship's view. But halfway to Earth, everything changed. An explosion shook the ship. "We're hit," shouted one of the guards. Thomas checked the controls. "One of their drones found us. Damage to the engine." Vashira stood. "Protect the egg." The ship tilted. Smoke filled the cabin. Alarms rang. Thomas fought to control the ship. "We're going down," he shouted. "Brace for crash." The shuttle crashed in the forests of northern Canada. Snow flew in all directions. The ship hit hard but stayed mostly intact. Everyone was alive. The egg chamber glowed safely, but they didn't have long. They'll find us soon, Thomas said. We need help. He activated the emergency beacon. Va Shira looked at the egg. It is safe? Dr. Morgan nodded. Yes. Still warm? Still alive? Then she looked at Thomas. You saved it, Thomas looked up. Not yet, but I will. They set up a camp around the crashed shuttle. Vashira stood outside, watching the sky. In the distance, she saw a dark shape falling through the clouds. A Goralian drone. Her eyes narrowed. They are coming. Thomas joined her. Then we hold the line. Vashira took a breath. You are small, yet you never run. And you are large, he said, smiling, but you never give up. They both looked at the egg chamber glowing through the shuttle window. One seed, one child, one future. And they would protect it with everything they had. Snow fell gently on the Canadian forest, covering the broken shuttle like a soft white blanket. Smoke no longer rose from the engine, but the quiet around it was not peaceful. It was full of tension, like the silence before a storm. Inside the shuttle, the glowing egg chamber remained untouched. Its soft light was the heart of their hope. Thomas stood outside with a scanner in hand. Beside him, Vashira held a metal beam ripped from the ship, her weapon now. Drones approaching, Thomas said. 3, maybe 4. Vashira nodded. They will not stop. Thomas looked at her. Neither will we. Dr. Morgan and the 2 guards worked quickly inside the shuttle. They reinforced the walls, moved supplies, and protected the egg chamber with a shield plate. One guard looked nervous. They're sending war drones for 1 egg? Why do they care so much? Dr. Morgan spoke calmly. Because they fear it. Not just the egg, but what it means. Suddenly, a loud sound filled the air, a metallic shriek. Something cut through the trees like a knife. Branches snapped. Snow blasted from the ground. A Goralian drone landed 20 meters away. Black and spider-shaped, it hissed as its red. Eyes lit up. 2 more drones followed behind it. Thomas pulled out his plasma cutter. Not a weapon, but it would have to do. Here they come. He shouted. Va Shira stepped forward, tall and proud. Let them. The first drone leapt toward them. Vashira swung her metal beam with both hands. It struck the drone in midair, smashing it into a tree with a loud crack. The second drone rushed toward Thomas. He rolled aside and pointed his cutter at its leg. A sharp spark cut through the joint. The drone stumbled. The third drone jumped over both of them and landed on the shuttle roof. Inside, the guards aimed and fired energy bursts. The drone hissed and scratched at the roof, trying to break through. Dr. Morgan activated the emergency lock. Protect the egg. Outside, Vashira slammed her beam into the second drone again and again. Sparks flew. Metal cracked. At last, the drone fell in pieces. She turned just as the drone on the roof tore through a corner. Thomas climbed up the side of the shuttle and jumped on it, stabbing the cutter into its back. It twisted, throwing him off, but the damage was done. Vashira jumped next, grabbed the drone with both hands, and ripped it apart with a roar of fury. Snow fell again. All 3 drones were down, but this was just the beginning. That night, they set up a heat dome to stay warm. Vashira stood watch, scanning the sky. Thomas sat beside the egg chamber, watching it glow. She's strong, he said softly. Dr. Morgan sat nearby. Yes, she's healthy. She might be the first of a new future. Vashira entered and crouched beside them. If they come again in greater numbers, we cannot win. Thomas looked at her. Then we call for help. He turned on the signal beacon again and sent an emergency message to Earth Command. 3 hours later, help arrived. A stealth Earth defense dropship landed near the shuttle, bringing 4 soldiers and extra gear. They carried shields, energy, rifles, and sensor jammers. The leader, Captain Arjun, shook Thomas's hand. We're not letting them take anything today. Thomas nodded. We fight to protect life. Vashira stood behind them. You risk your lives for a child that is not yours, Captain Arjun smiled. That's what humans do. By the next morning, the crash site looked like a small fort. Defensive walls were made from ice blocks and metal plates. Traps were placed around the trees. Jamming signals filled the area to block tracking, but still, the sky stayed red. More. Goralian ships entered Earth's orbit. One message came through. Final warning. Give us the egg or face destruction. Thomas read it and looked at VA single quote Shira double quote what will they do? He asked VA Shira's face grew dark. They will send a hunter. That night as the wind howled through the forest, something landed. Without sound, not a drone. Not a ship, a hunter-class Goralian tall, armored, fast, and deadly. Its name was Zernax, and it had hunted rebels for 40 years. Never failed. Never missed. It moved silently through the trees, unseen by sensors. It watched the humans work. It saw the egg chamber glowing inside the shuttle, and it smiled. Inside, Thomas woke suddenly. A chill passed through the air. Something was wrong. Then the alarm rang. Breach! North side! Soldiers rushed to position. Thomas grabbed his cutter again. Vashira grabbed her beam. They ran outside, but it was already too late. Zernax stood at the edge of the crash site, holding a fallen guard's weapon. I am here for the egg, he said calmly. Vashira stepped forward. You will not touch it. Zernax looked her up and down. You are weak. A failed queen. You should have died. Vashira growled. I am not failed. I am mother. She rushed forward. The fight between Vashira and Zernax was brutal. Metal hit metal. Roars echoed through the trees. Zernax was fast, but Vashira was strong and angry. She blocked his spear with her beam, then struck his leg. He stumbled, then slashed her side. Sparks flew. Thomas jumped in, firing a stolen Goralian blaster. It hit Zernax's shoulder. The hunter turned and charged. Dr. Arjun's team opened fire, surrounding him. Zernax spun and cut through a shield, but then Vashira grabbed him from behind. She lifted him and slammed him into the ground. Once, twice. He did not get up again, breathing hard. Vashira stood over the broken hunter. The snow was stained with smoke and fire. Thomas ran to her. You okay? She nodded. He is done. Dr. Morgan checked the egg chamber. Still safe. Still glowing. The humans looked at Vashira with awe. Captain Arjun saluted her. You are a warrior. And a mother. Vashira smiled. Tired but proud, Earth Command sent a final message to the Goralian ship. Any further action will be treated as a declaration of war. Leave now. The Goralians did not respond, but slowly their ships turned and left Earth's orbit. For now. The threat was over. That night, the stars shone brighter. The camp was quiet. Safe. Va Shira sat beside the egg chamber, humming a song from her world. Thomas joined her. She will be beautiful. Vashira looked at him. She will be free. They sat together in the soft light of the egg. A human, a giant alien mother. And the child of a future worth fighting for. 1 month passed after the battle in the snowy forest. The Goralians did not return. Their ships vanished from Earth's skies. Their threats stopped. The humans won not with big weapons or strong armies, but with courage and unity, and at the center of it all was one glowing egg, inside the secret research facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. The egg rested inside a high-tech chamber. Warm light pulsed from it. Life moved gently within. Va Shira stayed close to it every day. She watched it grow. She talked to it in her own language. She smiled now more than ever before. Thomas visited her often. He brought her meals, books, and even music. They sat together, beside the egg chamber like proud parents waiting for a miracle. Any movement today? Thomas asked. Sitting beside her one afternoon. Va Shira placed her hand gently on the glass. Yes, she turned when I sang. She already likes your voice. She knows me, Vashira said, her voice soft. She knows I am her mother, Thomas smiled. She also knows you are strong. Vashira turned toward him. And she will know you. Me? You gave her life and safety? That is more than many fathers do. Thomas looked away, a little shy. I didn't do it for praise. I know, Vashira said. You did it because you care. Dr. Morgan entered the room with a data pad in her hand. The readings are perfect. The baby is healthy. She will hatch soon. Vashira's eyes widened. Soon? Yes, maybe in 2 days. Maybe less. Thomas looked at Vashira. Are you ready? Vashira laughed lightly. I have waited my whole life for this. I was told I would never be a mother. Now she is coming. News spread across the human colonies, Earth, the Moon, and Mars. People heard the story of the alien mother, the human scientist, and the glowing egg. Some doubted, some cheered. But most were simply amazed. They called the child the Peaceburn. Some said she could be a bridge between species. Others feared what she might become. But for Vashira and Thomas, she was something simple and beautiful. She was family on the day of hatching. The lights dimmed in the egg chamber. The egg glowed brighter than ever before. Soft cracks formed along the surface. A gentle hum filled the room. It was not loud, but it touched every heart present. Vashira stood tall. Though her hands shook, Thomas stood beside her, eyes wide with wonder. Dr. Morgan watched closely, monitoring every signal. Then the egg broke open. A soft gasp echoed through the room. Inside lay a small figure, curled and glowing. Her skin shimmered gently. Her eyes were closed. She was peaceful, warm, alive. Vashira knelt and lifted her carefully. The baby opened her eyes, bright, curious, filled Vashira's eyes. She whispered, "You are real." The baby made a soft sound and touched her mother's face. Thomas stepped forward slowly. "She's beautiful." Vashira nodded, her voice full of emotion. "Her name will be Hope." Thomas repeated it. "Hope? That's perfect." Dr. Morgan smiled. "She's the first of her kind. A child of two worlds." Vashira cradled the baby in her arms. "She is a child of love." Over the next few weeks, Hope grew quickly. She was not fully Goralian, but not fully human either. Her body was strong but gentle. Her eyes changed colors when she felt different emotions. She could already stand and walk by the second week, and she smiled. Often, she smiled at Thomas the most. "She thinks you're funny," Vashira said one day as Hope climbed on Thomas's back. "She has a wild sense of humor then." Thomas sighed, laughing. Hope giggled. The human scientist studied her, but with kindness. No experiments. No pain. Just learning and observing. The Council on Earth asked to meet her. At first, Vashira refused. "She is not for display," Thomas agreed. "She's a child, not a symbol." But Hope, even at her young age, seemed curious. She walked boldly into rooms, touched computers, and stared out windows at the stars. She was not afraid, not of humans, not of the world, not even of her past. When she turned 1 month old, Earth Command sent a message: "Let her speak to the world." Vashira thought long before answering. Then she said, "If she chooses to, I will allow it." Hope listened quietly. Then she said her first clear word: peace. A large screen was set up on Earth. Billions watched on their devices, in cities and in villages. On Mars, children gathered near screens. On the Moon, miners paused their work. The screen lit up. A small girl with glowing skin and bright eyes stood beside a tall alien woman and a human man. The girl looked into the camera. "I am Hope," she said. "I came from love, not war. My mother is Goralian. My father is human. I belong to both worlds." The world fell silent. She smiled. "Please, do not fear me. I want to learn, play, and grow. Like any other child, I want to make friends, not enemies." People clapped. Some cried. Some stood in silence, thinking deeply. Later that night, Vashira sat on the mountain balcony, Hope asleep. In her arms, Thomas joined her with 2 mugs of warm tea. "She did well?" He said. "She is brave," Vashira replied. "She is your daughter. She is ours." They sat under the stars, quiet, full of peace. Then Vashira said, "They may come again. The Goralians." Thomas nodded. "We'll be ready, and this time they will not find weakness. They will find unity." Vashira looked down at her. "Sleeping daughter, she is the first, but not the last." Thomas smiled. "Then the future is bright." Time passed. Hope grew. She learned to read, to speak, to build things. She loved to run, to explore, and to ask questions. She asked Thomas about Earth stories. She asked Vashira about the stars. She asked everyone one question often: Can we make the world better? And one day she stood before the Council of Earth again. I want to build a school, she said, for all kinds of children. Alien or human, big or small, everyone. They agreed. They funded it. And they named it Hope's Way. Years later, when ships flew between stars, when new friendships were built between species, and when peace began to spread, history remembered one thing: not a war, not a weapon, but a child. A mother too large to fit into the rules of her kind, and a human who believed she was worth saving. She was too big to reproduce, so they cast her out, but a human made her a mother. And that child changed the galaxy. Forever.